we're up here at our compost piles. We have decided to do some African night crawler worms. I've never actually dealt with those before. I've always just done the red wigglers like you've seen in my other videos. So we're going to try a little something different, but I'm up here trying to get a little bit of compost. I've got a couple of newer piles, like this one behind me, and then we have a new pile of manure back there we'll be able to use eventually, but they're a little too fresh, so I'm going to try and get some out of these older piles that's left. We just need a 5-gallon bucket. So I have my setup here. This is my 1/2-inch screen that I always use. It fits perfectly on a wheelbarrow, and we're going to try to get some from the leftovers of this pile and this pile and screen it out. So I think Solomon's actually going to help me a little bit. Are you going to help me, buddy?
Yeah.
You got your shovels, don't you? But for this bin, instead of using paper, I don't have any shredded cardboard. I've got a little bit of shredded paper, but I'm going to use screened out compost, which I would prefer, and I'm going to use some coconut coir. So I'm going to do 1/2 and 1/2 cocoa coir and screened out compost for this bin, and probably just put a few handfuls of paper in there, but we'll see how that goes. Our worms should be here, I think, Monday or Tuesday, so I'm going to go ahead and get the bin set up and ready, so all we have to do is just put them in. Pull up any of this you can shovel and put in here. If you take your rake first, you might be able to rake some of it up like that, and then pick it up and shovel it into there. Can you do that? Dad's going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so that didn't take long. You can see that makes it really fine whenever it goes through that screen. Makes a good bedding for the worms. There's actually a few worms in here already. So, but I'm going to put this in a 5-gallon bucket, and then we're going to rehydrate some coir. That should be pretty close to a 5-gallon bucket. We might have to do a little bit more. Okay, so now I have a wheelbarrow with some water in it, and I have a brick of coconut coir. So we're just going to put it down in there and let it rehydrate. Then after it rehydrates, I'll just squeeze it out and put it into this 5-gallon bucket. So we're going to let that sit here for a minute. I guess Solomon's going to play with it. We're going to let that sit here for a minute, and we'll get right back with you. Okay, so that only took about 5 minutes. I busted it up a little. You can see I've got a lot of extra water in there. This is the outside husk of a coconut, so it's harvested around salt water. So usually there is some salt in this, so I like to put it in a little extra water. That way it'll soak some of that salt out, and then all you do is rake it up, give it a squeeze, and it's the perfect texture and moisture for the worms to live in. And then we just put it in the bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze all this out, and then I'll get back with you, and we'll mix this and the compost together and get the bedding ready for the worms. So we have a little over a 5-gallon bucket of screened compost, 1/2-inch screen, and I end up using 2 of those bricks of coconut coir. So we ended up with probably about 6 gallons. I'm going to go ahead and use all of it, because I'm not going to use all this bedding anyway. I'll just store the rest of it to add to the beds later. And then we're going to do probably 4 or 5 handfuls of shredded paper, just because the worms really like to eat it. If you don't have the coconut coir, you can order that offline. I got that off Amazon. But if you're trying to find something local, you can use peat moss, but you'll want to put some lime or something like that in it. Okay, put a little bit more paper in there, and we'll stir it, buddy.
Good job.
A little bit more. That was about 1 gallon worth of shredded paper with all that other stuff. Okay, let's stir it now, buddy. Real good.
Oh, really? Can I see it again?
Tell Mom where you
How
got
do you
those
know
from.
that's a bronchiosaurus tooth?
Because it's little, and the bronchiosaurus has little teeth so they can eat plants.
Oh, okay.
So they can eat what?
So they can eat plants.
It looks pretty good. That's ready to go. All we have to do is put this in the bin and put the worms in it. We'll let it sit 2 or 3 days, and that paper will soak up some of the moisture, so we might have to put a little bit more water in it, but I'll check it right before we put the worms in.
Mommy,
What?
you know what kind of tooth this is?
What kind?
A T-Rex one.
How do you know?
Because it looks like a T-Rex one.
Okay, so our worms come in today. It's been about 2 days since you see me screen this compost out. And I've just put it in one of my older bins. It has the holes in the side of it. I really don't like it because they sometimes will crawl out. So if it becomes a problem, I'm just going to put some tape over all these holes, but we're going to try it for now. We're going to do European night crawlers this time. I've always just done the red wigglers. We've never tried these before. And we're just going to put this bin in our utility room with our other 2 bins. These come from Uncle Jim's Worm Farm. We've got a affiliate link we'll put in the description that you can help our channel out if you don't care to. Just shop through there if you buy worms. These are a lot bigger than the red wigglers.
Gold.
That'd be really good fishing worms, so we might have to get into them this summer if we go fishing any.
Solomon's dying to go fishing.
Is he? We've got a shop light over top of us. We did that because this is a dimly lit corner in our utility room. But I'm just going to take this shop light and lay on top of this bin, and that will help the worms stay down because they don't want to come towards that light. We'll do that for probably 3 or 4 days, and then they'll get used to the bin. We're going to feed them in a day or 2. We might just make a video then on feeding them.
I like worms.